Alright guys, so in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to show you guys what happens whenever a character doesn't have bones and they're sharing the same skeleton, or they have extra bones and they're sharing the same skeleton. So I'll just copy that one over into this test folder here. I copied it into the rigs folder. Okay, I'll move it over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a skeleton so it has its own skeleton. That means that whenever I make changes to this, it won't like have any weird effect on the other ones. I do this as a safety precaution because in previous versions, if you used the skeletal mesh editing tools on a character when it was sharing a skeleton with other characters, then what would happen is it would like screw stuff up like really bad. So I don't know if they fixed that, but I just do this by default now. So I'll come over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some bones. I'm going to remove these bones right here just by selecting them and deleting them. And then I'm going to add a bone to the head. I'm going to call this hat. I'll just use lowercase, which seems to be convention here. And I'll just position this up here at the top of the head. And then apply. So now you'll see that it made a change to both the skeletal asset and the skeletal mesh. So if I come in here, you'll see that there's a gray bone icon. That means that this bone has no weights. It doesn't have any influence on any of the any parts of this mesh. So when you move it, it won't move the rest. When you see a filled in bone that's white, solid white, that means that whenever you move it, it's going to influence the mesh. So if let me see, I'll copy the name of this one and come over here. And I can now go to skeleton and assign a new skeleton. It's going to pull up this menu. And I can search for this, and you'll see that's the one I was looking for. Now under here, it's going to show the currently selected one. That's this one right here, and the target. And if you scroll down through here, you'll see that the target does not have a hat bone. And let's see. I don't see the bones I removed. It shouldn't have affected. Give me a second. Okay, this one's still okay. Apparently it's not going to show you. It used to show you the ones, which is kind of weird because I know for a fact that in previous versions it would show you red ones over here on the currently selected that the target has, but this one doesn't have. But now it doesn't seem to do that. Anyway, if you press accept, you'll see it says, would you like to add falling bone to the skeleton? Now, you don't have to add this. I think in previous versions, like in Unreal Engine 4, I think it would give you this option too. And you could uncheck that and say, okay, I'm not going to add that, and it won't add that. But I'm going to add it just to show you something here. So if you don't add it and you play an animation on here where it's moving that hat bone around for this character, then for this character, if that bone is not on the skeletal asset that's assigned to it, then it will not animate that bone on this character, because like I told you guys before, this is basically like a bone map, okay? And it lets Unreal Engine know what all bones it needs to evaluate. So it's just going to animate those bones, and then that's going to be basically moving the bones on this character. One thing to note is that this is not a static mesh. This is a skeletal mesh. And so the bone, the skeleton has to exist on this because the mesh is weighted to it. It does not separate the skeleton from the mesh. Somebody seemed to be under that impression here recently, and that's just not really how it works. But I could see how because I think I was maybe somewhat under that impression when I first started. Until you've really worked with this stuff a lot, you don't really normally come to that assumption unless you're watching this video and I'm telling you right now how it works. But if nobody tells you, then that you might be led to believe something like that. Anyway, so if I come over here now to this character and I find the head, you'll see it says, oh, right, it didn't. Well, I did add that to it. Yeah, it should have. Let me see here. If I close it and reopen it, it might update. Yeah, okay. But if I scroll down, okay, yeah. Okay, that threw me off. Yeah, so if you have the asset open, it may not refresh it. You may have to close and reopen it if you make changes to it. Unreal Engine isn't just going to automatically refresh all this stuff up here for you. You'll have to close it and reopen it. It's like a performance thing. So if something changes, it only loads it. This stuff. It only I guess loads this stuff when you first open them. But yeah, so you'll see something though, is you'll see that there's a gray dot here. And some of these other ones have gray dots too. If I open up this character and I look for that head bone, which is below the arms. Okay, this is the same thing. So I have to close it and reopen it. And I'll just collapse these. And now you'll see that we have a gray dot next to this bone. And if you hover over it, it says this bone exists only on the skeleton, but not on the current mesh. So this character, if you animate this bone, it's not going to be animated on this character. So just because the bone shows up here in this list, it doesn't mean this character has that bone. It means that the skeleton that it has been assigned, at one point, this skeleton belonged to a character or was shared with a character, which added that bone to the skeleton map. But this character does not have that bone. And as I told you guys before, that skeleton asset is created so that they can play animations across, multiple skeletal meshes without having to have an animation set for every single skeletal mesh. So that's what this is for. It's to allow animations to be more modular so that it can be played across different skeletal meshes. Which is why this skeleton has to have all the bones that all the other ones have if you want special animations to be played on that skeletal asset, which animates that bone that one character has but the others don't. But at the same time, adding those bones there, it will you'll end up with a lot of bones on that skeleton asset. Now, as you know, I may have said that having a bunch of bones on that skeleton asset will have an effect on performance. I know that I know that is true for your actual skeletal mesh. Having a lot of bones on there will affect performance, but I probably shouldn't have said definitively that that having a lot of bones on there on the skeleton asset will affect performance across all the other characters, because I don't actually know how they handle that. It may be that if it shows up for this character that it doesn't exist, that it just is ignored. Maybe it doesn't get evaluated and therefore wouldn't affect performance. But I haven't gone into C++ and like reverse engineered that stuff to see exactly how they're treating it. So it could be that it doesn't affect performance having a lot of bones on this, but it could. So it does make it messy. I'll say that at least. So you'll see that this character, though, it does have these bones. And if you hover over this, it still says the same thing. The bone is used by the current mesh, but has no vertices weighted against it. It's an unweighted bone. If I come over here to this one, and I open up this one, I have to close it again and then open it to refresh it. Now you'll see that those bones I removed from here, it shows that dot right there. And it says this bone exists only on the skeleton, but not on the current mesh. Okay? So if you come over here to this eye icon and you go to bones and all hierarchy, these are the bones that exist on this character. If I select something in here and I don't see a transform in here, that means that this character does not have that bone. If I select one and you suddenly see this gizmo, that means it does have that bone. And if it has that bone and an animation influences that bone by animating it, then that bone for this character or this mesh will be animated. I just wanted to point that out to you guys because that's something I didn't actually go over. But I recently came across a situation where somebody was confused about this information right here. So I just wanted to go over that. And I'll see you in the next video.